Bhasin to all of you. He's the regional head north for Pacifica Companies, and he has done his MBA in finance from Texas A&M University in the US. He has also completed executive education in real estate investments from Harvard Business School and also pursued his senior management program from IIM Ahmedabad. And these are just some of the education degrees that he has achieved. So in his current role at Pacifica Companies, his responsibilities include deal sourcing, deal analysis, negotiations and closing the deals for residential, commercial, as well as hospitality projects across North India. And I'm sure his talk, the answers that he has for your questions, all of that is just going to be a testimony to all the experience that he has gathered over the years. So over to you, Mr. Sumit Bhasin. This virtual mic is all yours. This platform is all yours. And we are really looking forward to your talk on this topic. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you so much, Aditi. Well, guys and girls, I didn't prepare any slide deck or anything because I believe that the best learning happens in an interaction. So for the first 10 minutes, I'll give you a quick brief of what all careers are available after an MBA in finance, and then you guys can start your questions one by one, and I'll try and answer whatever I know. Finance as a career is very broad. I don't think there is any industry, any company, any organization which doesn't deal with numbers or money. So wherever there is number, wherever there is money, especially money part, so maybe not for-profit organization, something I can exclude, but other than that, every for-profit organization in this world needs to know what money they are making. So wherever there is money involved, there is finance involved. For a tailor who's stitching clothes, he's probably doing all that financial calculations and accounting or whatever entries in a diary. For a shopkeeper, he might be doing that in some basic POS system. But for an organization like Tata, there are tons and tons of people crunching numbers every day from a variety of angles. So finance as a spectrum, can go from a very small one-man job to a very big organization in itself. What happens is, I don't know if you guys have been told something. There are two sides to specializations in your career after MBA. One is specializing in some kind of an industry, and second is specializing in some kind of a functional specialty is what we call that. So you can become a specialist in HR, you can become a specialist in finance, you can become a specialist in marketing. You can also become a specialist in any industry, electrical manufacturing, banking, or real estate, or manufacturing in general, aviation, hospitality, all these are industries. So when you do an MBA in finance, you can become you can get roles in any of the industry which is directly related to finance, which is something like banking, private equity. You can also get roles in the areas of investment banking, wealth management. These are all industries in itself. And as a specialization in function, you can get into corporate finance, you can get into investment finance. There are myriad of options available. If I have to give you a brief of each, I will pick up one by one, whatever comes to my mind. There are 10 to 12 broad specializations. What do they do? I'll give you a brief. Investment banking is one of the very popular options available in the market. A lot of kids after MBA, without knowing much, want to get into it because it sounds very glamorous. Investment bankers are the ones who put together deals for companies. So you want to buy a company or sell a company, do a merger or an acquisition, or you want to launch an IPO. So all these, all the work behind the scene is done by investment bankers. Then you can also become a financial analyst. Financial analyst is a role which every industry and company can benefit from and needs. So financial analyst would do a lot of analysis related to the finance of a company, whether that's a particular division, whether that's a particular geographical area or whatever that is. Financial analyst does all the number crunching and everything that goes behind. Then there are roles in private equity. Private equity is nothing but managing somebody's private wealth. So that can start from a group of individuals, that can start from some financial institution, and they invest in companies to make profit out of it. And that kind of a role in private equity is called a private equity analyst, or a principal. There are a lot of different segmentations in that. You can also get into corporate finance. Corporate finance is day-to-day financial management of any organization, whether that's a small hotel, whether that's a small industry, or a railway station, airport. All these people need somebody to manage their day-to-day operations. What money came in, where did it go, who spent where. So decisions like that: should we take a loan, on what basis, what numbers, all these kind of decisions are taken by corporate finance team of an organization. Then there are roles in investment finance. Investment finance deals with investment side of finance, which primarily is where to invest somebody's money. How much of the money should go in insurance? How much of money should go in equity? How much of money should be parked in debt? So with these kind of further avenues, there would be some people managing some insurance companies' wealth, or there would be somebody who would be managing the equity sales for a bank. So a lot of these back of the scene careers in companies like organizations like banks, insurance companies, the investment companies, all are managed by people specializing in investment finance. Then there is pure corporate banking, investment banking, which is a career in banking. New age careers are coming up in fintech, where people need to have some interest and experience in IT and finance side, primarily banking side. Then there are some roles in equity analyst, equity research. Equity research is a role where finance people come in and research all the stock pricing in the stocks of companies that are listed. So they will come up with their calculations to find out if the stock is priced lower than its fundamental value, higher than fundamental value. What should be the valuation? Should I buy the stock today or sell the stock today? What should happen with the stock? That kind of analysis is done a lot by equity analysts. They give their recommendations, they give their reports, which other mutual fund managers sometimes buy, subscribe to. They read all that and then take a call on what to buy, what to sell, when to buy, and when to sell. Then there are typical CFO tracks, wherein you primarily specialize in some kind of an industry generally. So a real estate, MBA finance in real estate slowly and slowly can rise and become a CFO. Only difference is that in most of the countries, the legal aspect of finance, uh, in addition, is required than pure financial education. So most of the CFO roles you will see would be occupied by somebody after a lot of experience in MBA finance, or somebody with education in CA, because CAs are taught a lot about um, the legal side of finance. What returns to file, when to file, that is something you will not be taught in an MBA in finance. So that we call compliance side from the government. So, but if you add that part, then you with an MBA in finance, you can easily get into that track also. Then there are other things, smaller things like asset management roles, the risk analyst roles, which then will help you take a career in a generalized consulting. They can help your careers in risk management consulting and stuff like that. So a lot of options are there. Where you get a career break depends on which college you are in, what are the times, what your bachelor's degree was in. If you are a CA and do an MBA in finance, you will very well do a very good job in equity analyst. You will do very good job in a CFO kind of a track. And if you're a techie with a finance, fintech would be a great career option in these times. So a lot of combination of these is what ultimately helps you decide where and how you can grow in this area of finance. So Rohan, let's hear from you.
Sir, good evening, sir. Am I
Yeah,
audible,
good
sir?
evening.
Sir,
Yes, yes, you are.
sir, I'm 20 years old and I'm a fresher. I'm currently pursuing BCom. So I
Okay.
have a soft corner for investment banking. So can you tell me something about that, sir?
Investment banking, with an MBA in finance, you will start your role as an analyst somewhere in the investment banking area. You will most likely be absorbed by a investment bank. Most of the banks in India have an investment arm. So if you get into one of them, you will start with basics of investment banking, which is how to value a company,
Valuations.
valuations of companies, valuations of divisions of companies. Sometimes some companies sell a division which another, bigger company is interested in buying. So how do you put together a deal? What should be the numbers? Why is the company X valued at 100 crores maybe? What is your rationale behind that valuation? A lot of valuation game is not clear science. So there is a lot of ambiguity in a lot assumptions that we take while we are valuing something. So that assumptions slowly and slowly you will get with experience. Should I evaluate 3 times the sales or 5 times the sale, and why? What industry, at what stage it is, and all that. So that is how you will start. Investment banking is a very glamorous and a very nice role. Also very has a very high degree of burnout. So very good for people in 20s. A lot of kids graduating prefer that. They should get into it. Very high profile role. You'll get a lot of very good experience in finance if you're in investment banking for about 8 to 10 years.
Okay, sir.
To be close to financial hubs. So good job options will come around Bombay, Singapore, New York, London, and stuff like that.
I have an interview with NMMS Mumbai tomorrow.
Okay, good luck.
Hmm. Sir, I have a background. I've been a full-time trader and a full-time investor also. So
Okay.
should I get a work experience before enrolling myself into a B school, or should I directly go as a fresher to a B school? That's my dilemma I'm facing right now. Should I make my profile a bit glamorous, or should I directly go for a B school?
I think you should focus on getting into the best B school possible. B school, you're not going to do it twice. You're going to do an MBA once. So if in your first attempt you get into the top 5, 10 schools, do it. Otherwise, wait for another year, improve your resume, and do it again. Give it another try. But just to save 1 year, if you compromise on a school today, 10 years down the line, you might repent.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Anyone else with any question?
Hello, sir.
Yes, Aditya.
So I have an interview day after tomorrow. The interview is fully banking and finance oriented. So if you were my interviewer, what qualities in me would you prefer?
Lot of things, actually. The overall personality is what we try and gauge. Overall personality mean? Overall personality primarily means uh, definitely how you're looking. If you're a smart guy and you don't go shaven and don't dress up well, nobody will like you, right? It's not about your skin color or anything, but basic grooming etiquettes. You should be confident, sitting well, look in the eyes of the interviewer. That shows a lot of confidence to people. Then your IQ and EQ. Those are two parameters that a lot of good business schools will look into. They don't. There are so many people clamoring for the same 100, 200 seats. The best and the brightest. So if you appear to be the best and the brightest, you are in, and if you're not, then so the question is how well you answer the questions. Do you think through those questions before answering? You just jump the gun and just start speaking. Um, how confident you are, how well you speak, all these things ultimately form a personality, and that's something most of the time I have witnessed in my life that prefers to see. As an interviewer, no one, we are aware when we are hiring candidates that he will not do everything that I want him to do. But I want the person to have all the basics there so that teach him, he can learn. The same
Okay.
goes in B school. They know you don't know anything. If you knew everything, you will not be applying for a B school.
Okay.
So you should be in that area where they can take you in and process you and make you a great human being. Much better. So the raw skills and raw elements have to be there.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, welcome. Who's next?
Mudit, you have raised your hand.
Yeah.
Yes, Mudit.
Good evening, sir.
Good
So
evening.
actually, want to know more about the job opportunities or job roles that one could get in the equity side of finance, and
Hmm.
like, what's the scope in the coming years?
Equity is a very, I would say, is a niche industry. Niche roles, investment banking, equity analysts are niche roles, but uh, very stable. The the career options would primarily again be very close to where the exchanges are or where the knowledge is. If the knowledge is all centered in a back office in Hyderabad for equity analyst role in New York, you'll find a lot of options there. As a role, the growth side is going to be okay. There are pros to growth. Say that equity world is only growing. The number of stocks getting listed are only growing worldwide. The number of exchanges getting listed are only growing. But at the same time, there are a lot of AI aspect coming in when for analysis. Who gets what where is something I'm not very deep into that, so I won't be able to comment. But there are sides which say equity analyst roles will never go away and it is only going to rise. And there are sides which have a very valid argument saying that these roles are going to become less and less dependent on a human being to crunch numbers because computers are slowly going to take over. Computers can only process objective skills. Computer cannot process subjectivity. So a lot of analysis in these roles require a lot of assumptions. Assumptions come with experience. Experience comes with making mistakes. So slowly and slowly you will get into it and you will find out. So I think it should rise, but there are both sides of arguments. But don't pick a career based on which will come up and which will go. Pick a career. I've seen a lot of people making that mistake. People pick careers based on what is hot, what is going on, where I will get absorbed. Eventually they become unhappy. First 5 years, 10 years with money and everything looks good. But after 30, I've seen people who are in their area of interest are happier a lot. So it will be a very big choice on you when you graduate. Do you want to pick something that makes you happy or something that gives you more money? And in finance and a lot of career options after MBA, location is very big determinant in your success. I went to a B school in US, which was in top 30, and but was situated in a very remote area, 100 miles away, 160 kilometer away from the nearest big city. So, 70th rank business school located in New York would get better results in terms of um, the job opportunities because they are located in New York. The recruiter is located in New York. He just picks up his car, goes to the business school and recruits candidate and doesn't want to take a flight to a city and then drive for 100 miles to pick up a candidate. So in finance and other skills, pick a B school if you're going to stick in India, pick top 10 B schools. If you're going to step out, then pick a B school in the city where you want to work, where their opportunities are. If you're in oil and gas, go and take a business school admission in Dallas or Houston. If you are a number cruncher and want to get into equity analyst or Wall Street, go and pick a 70th ranked school in New York. You will get absorbed. The Indians are quite good in quants. So pick career based on your interest, and based on your interest, pick a city. That's something nobody teaches. That is one hard lesson that I've learned, which can probably help a few of you.
Yeah, we have a question, sir, in the chat box from Aman Bansal. He's in a library, so he says he cannot talk. But his question is that I'm an engineer, so can
Of
I
course.
imagine my career in
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
finance after engineering?
Absolutely, you can. I am an architect from my bachelor's degree. So finance is a lot about numbers, and engineers are good at that. That is why you see our IMs and top B schools absorbing a lot of engineers because they know they will make good analysts at the end of the day. You very well can, and you will do quite well. Engineers do very well in finance careers. CAs have slight edge because half of the topics they know, and because they know they are also taught about some laws related to finance of that country. So they have slight edge, but as an engineer, definitely you can. Aman.
We have a question from Kshitij. I think he has messaged me personally. He
Okay.
says, what certifications should I consider for investment banking?
Just do an MBA in finance, go to good investment banks. You can do a CFA, Chartered Financial Analyst course. And there are others. You will find out more there. But doing that along with MBA would be a very big task. It's not that easy. Good business schools don't let you sleep more than 4 or 5 hours, so you won't have time to do anything else. Focus on getting into a good business school, guys. It pays off in the long run.
Sir, as a 20-year-old, we don't have any exposure. I come from a small city, not a renowned city when it comes to finance. So how can I go about and discuss that I want to pursue an MBA in finance? I don't have a background. I don't have any work experience. Though I was a investor and invest in stock market, but that was a particular domain of finance. Stock markets are not a whole thing about finance. So how should I go about and I make myself confident about that I want to do an MBA in finance only, not HR, not operations, not consultants.
You think MBA or the finance education is only available to people living in Delhi and Bombay? No. It's an interest. A musician can, take birth in any city. Same way your interest can take birth in any city. What interviewer in an MBA program or a B school is really interested to know, are you serious when you say you're interested or you're just fluking? A lot of people, kids in your age will make up things, just lie just for the sake of, it's sexy these days, so I'll just do it. Don't do that. You will be caught. They are trained at catching your body language. They are trained at finding out if are you really serious or you're just, making it up there. I got rejected from 2 very lower rank business schools, but got selected in a very good business school because I was very clear I want to get into real estate investment world with a bachelor's in architecture. 2 lower ranked schools declined my admission, saying that we cannot give you an experience in real estate finance because we don't have any teacher, we don't have that subject. So they were very clear in US at least that they want to take you in and help you achieve your dreams, at least in the US business school. So they make you write those essays. The statement of purpose is nothing but for them to look at this kid has this talent, wants to get here. Will we be able to help him or not? And does he have the talent to be helped? I want to help him by teaching everything, but the person may not even get it. In that case, I don't want him. So that is what is going in their mind, the mind of the interviewer or the recruiter. So if you're confident and if you're serious and you're not joking, saying the truth, you will get in. So that's my advice. And be very confident. You may be from anywhere. You can have interest in finance. There's money circulating in your city as well, right?
Yes.
But there's money, there's finance. Simple.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Every home, every housewife is doing a financial budgeting.
I believe in that, sir. My mother is also a teacher, so she knows how to
Everybody
manage.
does that. Every father is doing some investment somewhere thinking ye 6% return dega or 12% dega or what? What is that? That is basics of finance. What percentage return, where to park. That.
Yes, sir.
And you will find out more when you graduate. When I got in, I wanted to get in real estate finance. My first job was in management consulting. And I had to take because that was the only job which was ready to give me an H-1B visa, which I really needed. And I needed to work for a few years to pay off my student loans in US.
Yes, sir.
I accepted that. And I loved it. I loved that part. I was consulting in operations. My operation teacher in my program was top first 5 employees of Amazon.
Okay.
The way he taught, teachers make a very big difference in an MBA program. That's why a good business school should be your number one preference, even if that takes you 1 or 2 years more.
Yes, sir.
Then I got an opportunity to lead a very big marketing program, marketing division with AIG. I was working with AIG in Houston. They wanted to set up a new unit for marketing their insurance products with South Asians. So all the Indians, Sri Lankans, and all that community. I was an Indian working, so they gave me an option because they said we can't understand language. Can you lead this role? I was reluctant, thinking I'm an operations guy, interested in finance, now marketing. Let me try, and I loved it as a personality. They were paying me money to just go and talk to people, and I found it very easy. So you will find yourself when you get out of business school with various experiences. If unless until you are totally focused on one thing, go with an open mind. You don't know yourself right now by when you're 20 years old.
Yes, sir.
You will explore yourself while you're doing your MBA. You will explore more about you when you get into job world, when you start working. So be open, learn and grasp everything that you can get, and then see where life takes you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, sir.
Thank you, Rohan. Sir, Manisha has put a question in the chat box saying, can you please
Okay.
explain the roles which I need to perform in the banking sector?
Okay. Banking sector is one industry of finance. When I say industry, you will soon know there are functions and there are industries. So banking is one very big industry where a lot of finance people are recruited. When you go to a bank, let's say you go to a commercial bank, who do you meet? You meet a bank manager and a teller and a cashier and few officers and a few guys. That is also banking. A cashier will count cash, book, do the entries in the whatever books and systems they maintain. A bank branch manager is going to manage a complete branch where they will have to know all about the basics of finance and banking, and also basics of management. Then there would be people who would be doing sales of the banking product. Somebody would be selling insurance, somebody would be selling a mutual fund plan, somebody will try and sell you a bank loan or a credit card or stuff. That's also banking. So if you want to do sales in banking, you get into this side of banking. Then behind the scene, there is somebody who's setting up so many interest rate. Why should the interest rate on home loan be 6.5 and why not 6.9? Who makes that call? There are brains sitting in corporate office who are not sitting in a branch office where they meet people like you, doing those calculations. That is also banking and finance. Then there are people who are designing, a lot of engineers get into it, designing processes. Okay, if the customer comes in, how will I process 500 customers in one branch in a day? That is the operation side of banking world where engineers do very well. The token system that you get a token, and based on token, you get a call so that your wait time decreases. All these things are being done by somebody. So in banking world, you can have sales, operations, pure calculation, then somebody's doing the filing for all the banking related financials, the balance sheets, the cash flow statements to the stock exchange. So all these worlds require different skills in finance, something that you will learn. Finance is number crunching, finance is reporting, finance is calculations, finance is analysis of risk, analysis of statements, so many things. So once you enter the world of finance, then there is a very deeper world. Which area of finance? Investment finance, corporate finance, portfolio management, equity analyst. So any of these role is something you can get in a bank and perform. Long answer to a short question.
Awesome. There's one more question which says that, can you cover some basic concepts of finance that as aspirants we should know?
Sure. Okay. One very important aspect is that I'll try that you understand, but you may not. Okay. Give it a try. All of you have done your 10th, right? In 10th, you must have been taught a formula of compound interest. Simple interest and compound interest. I'll give you two things. One is that one concept, which is the base concept in finance world, is called time value of money. The primary meaning of this is that the the value of money changes with time. So 100 rupee today is not the same as 100 rupee 5 years ago and will not be the same as 100 rupee 5 years from now. Can you digest that? So how to understand time value of money is that if you have 100 rupee today, let's say you can buy 5 Coca-Colas today. 10 years ago, probably you could have bought 7. And 10 years down, you will probably be able to buy 3 or 2. No one knows. So this concept of time value of money is something which is very difficult for a lot of kids when they enter. How can 100 rupee be different? The value of 100 rupee is what changes. And this change in valuation in the world of money is done by an indicator or a yardstick called inflation. So if there is inflation is also called in Hindi mehengai. So if inflation is 10%, so whatever 100 rupee can buy today, next year you will have to pay 110 to buy the same bucket of material. So this inflation is one of the very, very big aspects when you plan for anything in finance. If you want to plan your investments, should I put my money in fixed deposit or should I put my money in mutual fund or should I buy gold with my money? Once you start earning, you will start having these problems. What do I do with money I have? This is a unique problem which youngsters generally don't have. But once you start earning, that's another set of problem you will encounter. So that time concept of inflation, if you are missing, you will do a lot of bad, investment deals and you will lose out in the long run. So this is one. Second aspect that you have to know it, which is not exactly finance, but related to finance, called a subject called economics. Economics and finance go hand in hand. If you understand economics, it will help you understand finance. And if you understand finance, it will help you understand economics. In the world of economics, you have to understand that money flows. So what is your expense when you go to a shopkeeper to buy something? That is shopkeeper's revenue. So if you stop spending, the shopkeeper stops earning. So this is a big, big, big and a very complicated chain. This entire chain is moving with money. That is why money is called the oil of economy. And whether the amount of money in a system is called liquidity, because they see it as a complex engine with a lot of moving parts. They are interdependent with each. Their ease of movement depends on how much money there is in the system. So when the demonetization happened, suddenly there was no money in the economy, which is physical rupee note. So people realized, all the economists got up and started bad-mouthing it simply because they said, if there is no money, I will not be able to spend. And if I will not be able to spend, the other person will not be able to earn. And this entire chain of events goes to stop. So this world of movement of money is what is taught in economics, how you measure it. What is GDP of a country? What is GNP? What is inflation? These are mostly taken up in the subject of economics. And in finance, we use these numbers. What is the inflation number? What is the repo rate this time? What is the reverse repo? All these numbers to come up with a lot of things that we want to do in our calculations while we are doing any analysis for equity or anything. So these are two very beautiful subjects that, in my view, everybody should learn, because ultimately, whatever you do in your life, whether you're a doctor, you're an architect, you're an engineer, you're an advocate, you have a shop, you just cannot escape from the core workings of money. And to know how money works, how money flows, basics of finance and basics of economics are very, very helpful.
Sir, according to you, can you please explain what role does RBI play in an economy?
Oh, big time. Banks, not RBI. What happens is, Let me think, how do I explain this? Mm, so the government, let's say, comes in and says that, we want to tax more to the people. We want to increase the income tax rate. What is government trying to do? Increase the taxes that they get so that they can spend on the schemes that they want to spend. Central bank is independent of government. That's how it was enshrined in the constitution. How true it is that's a debate. Some people say that's under government. Some people say, though, no, that's absolutely independent body. RBI's job is to keep the system up and running in as perfect manner as possible. So what is a perfect world? The perfect world primarily is where your inflation rates are low and your growth rates are high. So if your economy is doing a GDP of 8% growth and your inflation is 4%, you're doing well as an economy. But if your economy grows by 1% and your inflation is 10%, you're losing money you're losing the value of the money that you're producing every year. So RBI's job is to primarily see that the GDP is high and the inflation is kept low. How does RBI do that? RBI has a few levers. If RBI raises let's say, since I know this subject from my industry, I will take that as an example. Let's say country needs a lot of housing. People are dying, they don't have places to stay, they are staying in huts, they have money, but there is no land. So government comes in, government's role is to make a policy. The government came in and made a policy, okay, we will release more land, there is more land in the system. Builder can come, take land and make a residential, sell it to people. To be able to do that, the builder needs money. Now, when builder needs money, where does he go? Goes to a bank. Bank gives him money. Now, with that money, customer also goes to the bank to take a thinking and the industry. What interest rates are there in the system will determine how much of the this kind of industry can work. If the interest rates are low, you will buy more houses. I will be able to make more house as a builder. If the interest rate is high, we will not be able to do this transaction as much as we want to. So this, if the interest rate, if the inflation rises, then interest rate also has to rise. Interest rate always remains in constant with inflation. So if inflation rises but comes back next quarter, this this interest rate set by RBI should be correct. But if it goes up and goes up and goes up, then RBI will have to take it up. That's what's happening in the US right now. US never had such high inflation, but last 1 or 2 quarters they've been having very high inflation, and now their Federal Reserve, which is the RBI of that country, is trying to increase the interest rate. That is spooking the markets, equity markets worldwide. Because the moment interest rate rise, more money needs to go to fulfill that loan interest. So less money is available in the economy to come and get invested in equity. More money goes to debt instruments, less money comes to equity instruments. All these things are linked. So RBI or the central bank's role is to keep these rates in a way where the economy doesn't go out for a toss. If they don't do a good job, the inflation can go to 20%, like in Zimbabwe a few years ago, and a couple of other African countries, the inflation was 24 times. So bread costing 1 rupee today will cost you 24 rupees next year and 120 rupees next year. How will people work? So setting that thing in order, keeping that thing in order, depends on finance ministry and the RBI.
Atharva's question, he says, as a fresh graduate, what would be a better option to start a career in finance, CA or CFA?
Both are good, depends on what he wants to be. CFA ultimately is going to work for somebody most of his life, because CFA kind of education is required by organizations, and CAs can practice on their own. CFA is more or less looking at the financial statements of companies, is chartered financial analyst. So they look at companies, they do most of the equity research, the investment banking side. And CA can do the compliance side, or the compliance means making balance sheets and filing taxes and filing all the required government documents and all that for anyone. And they can also dabble into the other sides of equity research and all, and open up their own office. So I guess what you want to do should be the factor in determining out of these two. Don't go by what is more good, what is better. In long run of life, all equally. Choose happiness and passion over anything else. In MBA, unless until you do very advanced courses, you will not be taught about derivatives at all. There are extremely risky components. Derivatives are, there is something called intrinsic value. So what we say is that in real estate, if I buy a house for whatever X 1 crore rupees, there is a value to the brick, to the floor, to the tile, to the land that I have bought. Without that component, I cannot value the valuation of a house. So valuation of any item depends what goes behind that. Is that a physical asset or what? The area of finance, what we do is we take valuation of anything based on the money it produces. I give you 100 rupees, you give me 12 rupees at the end of a year. So my interest that you give me is 12 rupees. So if I am doing any asset valuation, if that gives me 12% return and I want 12%, so I'll give 100 rupees for that. Might look a little complicated to non-finance people, but anything that you value has to have an intrinsic asset behind it, something that produces money or something that is real. So real assets are real estate, real assets are factories, land, building, machinery are all real assets. And in the world of finance, if you go to buy a stock of a company, that stock of a company goes in financing a company which goes out, does some work and makes money and gives you back dividend. So dividend is the intrinsic asset behind that value of a stock. Now, when you have a stock and you have some intrinsic asset, if mutual fund comes in and says, oh, I will try and find which stocks to buy when and which stocks to sell when, I will do that full time. And when I do that full time as a fund manager, I can do it for 10 crores. I can do that the same thing for 10,000 crores. So why don't you all give me a lot of money? Each one of you, I will make money for everyone because money is made through my knowledge. So I will use that knowledge to make money out of 10,000 crores, not 10 crores of my own money, and we will split the profits. In derivatives, what happens is there is no intrinsic this thing. Derivatives play, okay, will this stock go up or down? I think the stock will go up. So I'll take a bet. It's a very complicated product. So, and then in US, the entire financial crisis that happened in 2008, real estate crisis, they made derivatives of derivatives. So you're buying something, there's nothing behind. So one thing fails, the other fails, the other fails, the other fails. It's slightly more complicated, and I don't think I'm able to explain you very clearly. But derivatives are products which are made on product like a stock, product like gold value, product like silver value, product like Nifty bundle. So Nifty call option will go up or down, put option will go. So these are complicated finance products made by big investment bankers.
Moving on, Pulkit Gupta, I'm taking your question next. He's asking, sir, if I wish to work in a think tank like Niti Aayog or maybe some NGO publishing business reports, would MBA finance help, or is it more on the economic side?
Economics will help you more. It is geared at teaching you to help make money for yourself or a company you work for. Economics is more geared towards managing economy. What policy? What should I do to? They see reports like which sector is not doing well. What can I do to pump up that sector? So that kind of thoroughness comes in masters in economics. Or there are other courses like masters in business economics if you want to only focus on the impact of economics in business. Very good business schools across the world have that. For that, in India, you will need a 4-year bachelor's or a 5-year BCom and MCom type. That's also a very good course. Masters in business economics, masters in economics. That would probably give you a much better edge in Niti Aayog types than in MBA.
Thank you. I'll move on to Fenil's question. He says, can you explain how CDS works?
It's very complicated. CDS, you've seen that movie, Big Shot? Whoever is asking question would have got it probably from there. Huh?
Yes, sir.
So that is what you got confused, right?
Yeah, sir.
It's again a derivative. That was the reason for the fall of the global crisis in 2008. In US, they give loans, home loans. Now, in India, you've just seen CIBIL and other ratings. US has had that credit history for decades. How good you are, credit history is nothing but how good you will be in returning my loan. What are the chances that you will be able to return my loan? Till what extent? Till what amount? What will you look at? You look at the income profile of the person. You look at how the person had been paying the loans in past. All that builds up a credit score. So what happens is a bank gives a loan. A bank has, let's say, 1 lakh crore rupees of capital, State Bank of India. So State Bank of India can only issue loans till 1 lakh crores. Let's say State Bank of India issued these loans and these loans got exhausted. Exhausted means the State Bank of India gave loans till 1 lakh crores, but there are more customers who want to take loan. But State Bank of India doesn't have more money on its balance sheet. So what they started doing in US was they started bundling these loans. So there was a rating agency which would come in and see what loan is a triple A, what loan is a double A, what loan is A, B, triple B, B, double B, B, triple C, and then D means default. So as a rating, they organized a rating. Triple A means the person earns so much money, has always paid his loan and bought an asset only for 10% of the valuation. So the person has a very high, very next to 100% chances that he will pay up. The same may not be true. Let's look at it from a company. The company CEO who has a very good salary, let's say salary of 2 crores a year, buys a home for 50 lakh rupees. What are the chances that he will pay up? Very high. He will not ruin his name for a amount which is 1/4 of his annual income, right? But what if the admin buy or the reception person sitting at reception buys that same loan for 50 lakhs with a salary of 5 lakh? That is 10 times his salary. So that's a risky loan. So what happened in US was loans to any them double A and triple bungling the facts. Then they collect these loans. So they collect all the AAA loans and give it to RBI. So in US, they have Fannie Mae. Fannie Mae was an agency which was a US government agency which would give home loans. So Fannie Mae used to buy, Freddie Mac used to buy. So these rating agencies were bungling that rating. Now, who buys the loan depends on uska kya price dega depends on how secure the loan is. So AAA loans would be more secure and triple C loans would be less secure. So for less secure, I need to 1 lakh ka loan hai, I will pay 60,000 for that because there are chances 40,000 people will not pay. But agar triple A loan hai, to for 1 lakh rupees of bundled loan asset, I will pay 95,000. So that valuation, 60,000 rupee loans were sold for 95,000 rupees by bundling them as AAA. Based on this, they created another derivative product, which was, what if this fails? Then who will pay? So then they roped in companies like AIG. I was working in AIG when all this happened. And the entire company stood at a juncture where it could have gone to zero had that not been bailed out by the government. AIG said, okay, we will come in. We will secure your loans. That securitization of loan was made in a derivative product which was called CDS. In essence, more of this can be explained in some good YouTube videos. Look at those. But this is the essence of it. Bundling of products, which is bundling of products and bundling of products and then selling those products, which are some are insurance products, some are investment products. You bundle them and create new names.
Sir, as the apex banks all over the world are increasing their interest rates, do you believe the event of Tapper tantrum can happen again? That happened in 2013, 2014 when the Apex Bank of America raised their rates.
I think it's you will see significant raises there, and tantrum will continue for a while. At the same time, India this time is behaving strangely when it comes to stock market, as if it is slightly disconnected, which is strange. You see FII is pulling money out. Next, you see domestic investors like you and me going and buying those stocks. This is something strange. The entire world is moving in one direction. Indian investors are moving opposite. Why? Because what has happened in India in the last 4 or 5 years is that other than equity, no asset class has made money for people. They bought house for whatever money. Houses are similar value even today and very difficult to sell. Gold has not increased much. The interest rates are hardly enough to even the cost of inflation. So most of the people who have never invested in equity are herding. It's a herd mentality in this country. So they are coming in and investing, which is cushioning the impact. But taper tantrum has already been impacting the stock market. If you see from the FII, how long will it work and will it affect? I think yes, it will continue, and there would be 2 to 3% interest rate increases in the US. That will be very significant for emerging markets.
So that just leaves me with one last question that I have for you is that what would be your final word of advice for these students who are ready to face their interviews and then their B schools and the life ahead?
For interview, be confident in your skin. Whoever you are unique. Don't worry about if you're right from his perspective or her perspective. That doesn't matter. God has made you unique. There are some things in you which nobody else has. So, like that, love yourself. Don't go with a meek, this thinking, oh, I come from a small town, I don't have this education. So what? Go with confidence, go well-groomed, develop your communication skills in life, they pay off. In body language, look in the eyes of the interviewer. Don't hesitate. Don't look down. That is a very big sign of low confidence. And speak up your mind, whatever it is. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid that you have a very weird choice of doing a course in finance and arts. It's never there. Nobody has heard of it, but that's how innovation happens. So don't feel bad. Don't take the normal path and choose a good school over time. Even if you have to skip a year for a better school, do it. And to know a lot of things, it depends on you and where you go, because the school where you go directly attracts the teachers that make a difference. So pick that as a priority and be comfortable in your skill, and a lot of you will sail through. Okay, with that, I wish you all a very good luck. Hope you guys come out from very good B schools and come and explain us the ways of investing in old age when I'm old.